Hey guys, what's up? All right, number 7. This one is a doozy. We are going to talk all things tech. So this one is definitely more directed toward the people out there doing YouTube, creating videos, things like that. So if that is not you in your business, either watch and enjoy or move on to the next tip. But for those of you creating videos, there are some things that I've learned in my 4 years of doing this that I would love to pass along to you. Now, I'm gonna preface this by saying I am no expert. I fully admit that when I went into this, I did not know what I was doing. But my number 1 tip overall, don't let that stop you. Don't let tech, camera gear, all of those things that people get really wrapped up in be an excuse not to start your channel. That's number 1. So from the get-go, I started with my iPhone, editing on Windows Movie Maker, and then moving on to iMovie, and now Final Cut Pro. I am by no means an expert. I'm just going from the learning curve that I know from when I started. So if you are a beginner like me, hopefully this helps. Now, one thing that really made me nervous when I started this, I didn't want to feel like I was cheating by recreating things, but let's be honest, the world is kind of all about recreating things and just putting your own spin on it. What I mean by that is watching other people's stuff and looking at angles that I liked, transitions that I liked. I'm still doing this and I'm just getting more advanced with it, I think, but really watching the videos you like, the people that inspire you, looking at their format, looking at how they shoot things, you know, pulling focus. A lot of those I've learned from watching other people's videos because I guess I kind of have an artistic eye, but my brother's a photographer and he can just look at something and set it up, and I'm not that way. I have to look at something and go, I like that. I want to figure out how to do that. And then I play with my camera that way. So me personally, that's how I learn. And a lot of my editing and filming has come from that. So there is a lot to be learned online by just watching other people and really taking that stuff in. And I think there's something huge to be said about being a constant lifelong learner and trying to get better and never think that you just know it all, which I never will. So that's a big step. Some little tips that I've had along the way. And some of this is super, super basic. So if you know this stuff, you know, just go with it. But for people who don't, who are just starting, the best tip I ever got was using the beats of music for transitions, which I have a musical background, so hearing things that are off now, like it's just, I can't. The music part is like so particular to me. What I mean by that is if you're transitioning a shot and you're going from one shot to the next, having it on the downbeat. So if your song is going dun, 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 that's when you switch your frames, or you switch them every 2 frames or something like that. But really like spread out the clip on iMovie, Windows Movie Maker, Adobe, whatever you're using, and really precisely get that music with the shot, and it will make a huge difference in your editing skills. So that's number 1. That's probably my favorite thing to do when I'm editing, is line up the music. So speaking of music, the site that I use is Epidemic Sound, which I think it's $9.99 a month. And it's basically every genre type of music you can think of. There's lyrics, there's no lyrics, there's, you know, it tells it by beat, it tells it by mood, and you can go through and pick out your music that way. I highly recommend that because when I started, I used the 10 clips that are in iMovie. And now what's funny is I hear those same 10 clips on everything. So I feel like those really stand out as a beginner. If I see those, I'm like, oh, you just got started, which is fine too, but just a heads up, I would eventually move on to Epidemic Sound. Anything with lyrics that's a popular song that's copyrighted, if you want to monetize, don't use. Otherwise, you can use them as long as you credit them, but then they'll throw commercials on your video and you can't make money off of your own video. So Epidemic Sound, copyright-free music, unlimited resources on there. Highly, highly recommend. So a couple more things on sound. Now, if you're doing voiceovers, which I love to do because sometimes, especially with travel, there's wind or there's just a lot happening. The sound quality just isn't the best. So voiceover is amazing for me, and because I do educational as well, that helps. But I'm gonna show you, 2 seconds. So this is what I use for voiceover. and it's called a blue ball. And I got it, I think it was at Best Buy. I've had this for so long now. I want to say it was about $60, and it's amazing for voiceover. And one of the best tips, which sounds very random, is to go under a blanket. What I mean by this, it's so strange, but if I just tried to do a voiceover right now in my apartment, you can kind of hear that there's a little bit of an echo, not to mention any other sound that may be going on outside, but just the sound quality is a little bit different. So one of the best things that I was told is to throw a blanket over myself, and I plug the mic into the laptop, take it all under the blanket with me, and record my voiceovers that way. It gives it a nice flat sound, and everything pretty much matches. So highly recommend that. I feel like sound is one of those things where if it's off-putting, people don't watch the video. I know I don't. And I will look back on some of my old videos, and the music will be so loud, and then the voice will be quiet, and then it switches, and it's just, oh, it's all over the place. So after I do the voiceovers and mix the music and all of that, I will listen to it on my laptop and on my headphones, because the sound is very different, to make sure that nothing is standing out as too quiet or too loud. So that is my note on tech. I just got a lavalier mic, which is amazing too. And there's all sorts of levels for this too. Because I'm new to it, I got a little tiny Sony one. I think it was like $40, and a little lav mic that connects to the speaker thing and records it, which is amazing. And I just used it for the first time in New York when I was doing an interview. And what's great is sometimes the people you're interviewing aren't as loud as you are. So it's wonderful to have that option when it comes to interviewing other people. Highly, highly, highly recommend an external mic. If you have a DSLR, a Rode mic is really great, but for me, I have a Canon G7X Mark II, so that is my option with that. And what else? I've got a little wind muff that goes on top of it, which is great. That helps outdoors as well. Those are kind of my sound tips. One thing that is fantastic that I also just started putting into practice when you're filming, especially if you're interviewing anybody, run the camera longer than you think you should. The best moments tend to happen right after you stop recording. And it tends to be less scripted that way too. I found this out, I was in Niagara and I was having this wonderful conversation with these girls, and I asked him, I said, can I get you on camera? And suddenly it turned very hosty. They suddenly got very professional and answered these questions very properly, and then we turned off the camera and got back into this wonderful conversation. I thought, oh my gosh, that is what I should have gotten. So now I will definitely leave the camera running, put it on a tripod, try to keep it out of view. Even when Kristen's filming me, I'll tell her, like, keep it running just a little bit extra. Like, you never know, if I fall, I want that captured. So that's another good tech recording thing that I have learned over the years. And the last two things that I will say is, one, ask people's permission before you put them on camera all the time. Definitely get their permission. If you're a big deal, you can have contracts that they write out and sign and all of that, but I just get them saying yes on camera, or even on my phone or something. I just need proof that they've given me permission to be on camera. The last thing I'm gonna do is stick my camera in someone's face that just doesn't want it there. And the very last thing that I will say is, tell a story. Have a reason for making this video, whether it's destination focused or culture focused or adventure focused, whatever it is, have a reason that you're making this and try to make that come across. So I feel like the person that did this best was probably Anthony Bourdain. The way that he created these stories was incredible. And another one of my favorites is Samantha Brown. So if you watch these people creating a story, it makes it more exciting and less of just like watching somebody's home movie. Although those people do very well too, and if you're vlogging style and that is your thing, that is fantastic. But I always think you should have a purpose to what you're filming and use the music and the editing and the mood and the voiceovers and all of that to try to help that come across. So those are my few tips on actually making videos. Please let me know if you have any questions or want me to go into any more details on any of this stuff, and I will link the blue ball and epidemic sound and all of that stuff below. So thanks for watching.